Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Beaver and we got our mini still. Now before we can start using a new still, we need to clean it properly. We're going to talk a little bit more about the still as the video goes on, but I just want to thank the guy that made this still for me. It is absolutely beautiful. Now the first step in getting a new still ready to use is to take it and give it a good cleaning. So first up, we're going to take some normal dishwashing liquid and we're just going to give this a very good scrub down using a scouring pad and some hot water, and then we're just going to scrub it all the way down. The reason for this is we just want to remove any residue or flux or anything that might still be on the plates on the inside and the outside. Luckily for me, this still has a 3-inch tri-clamp system on the top there, so this means I can hopefully fit my hand on the inside and then give it a good scrub. Now we're going to go outside, take the hose pipe, hose it all down and get all the dishwashing liquid off of it, and then we're going to move on to the next step. See you in about 5 minutes. Now that we have rinsed the still down and removed any of the dishwashing liquid, what we're going to do now is get the still ready to do a vinegar run. So we have our gas heater here at the bottom. We're going to do half and half, so one part water to 1 part vinegar. So I'm going to be pouring in 2 liters of water as well as 2 liters of vinegar and then cap it all off. Just a quick tip, guys, if you're ever going to use a copper to copper still, meaning that the base is soldered onto the bottom of the kettle, keep in mind to get your liquid into your boiler first before you turn on the heat. If you're going to turn on the heat and then add your liquid, you might run a risk of getting your solder to start melting again, and then you're going to get leaks and stuff on the bottom of your kettle. So keep in mind, do not turn the heat on if you don't have any liquid inside of your boiler. While the still is heating up for the vinegar run, remember, if you do a vinegar run, you're not going to have any liquid coming into your condenser. You want steam to pass through all of the components. Now that steam, that vinegar steam, is going to clean up the inside of your still, ensuring that there is no oxidization or anything that can come into contact with your liquid once you start doing your alcohol runs. So while we wait for this thing to heat up, let's quickly go over the still and have a look at each of the components and yeah, just admire this little beauty we have in front of us. First up, like I said, what we have down here is a 12-liter capacity boiler. It's pure copper, so it has a copper base, a copper body and a copper head. On the top here we have a 3-inch tri-clamp. This means that we can now interchange it with some of our bigger stills components. Because we have that 3-inch thing, we can put in some bubble plates and all that other fun stuff. The tank has been riveted with handmade rivets, so the guy that made this still did an absolute beautiful job. You can see all the solder lines are beautiful. No, there's no running of the solder onto the copper plates or anything, so it is exceptionally well done. I did do a pressure test on this to check for any leaks, and there were no leaks on it whatsoever. The column at the top here, or the dome, is a 76mm or a 3-inch copper tube. This means that we have the capability of doing gin runs on this still as well, so we can actually add some botanicals and stuff inside of this tube. Maybe later on we'll even add a little bit of a condenser in the top of this tube here, so we can get some reflux while we are doing a pot still run. We have a nice solid cap on the top, as well as a downwards facing line arm. So the line arm is tapered downwards. It goes into a 22mm fitting, into a 1/4-inch fitting, and then down into a limbic condenser. So instead of having our coil type cooling, we have a nice little limbic condenser capable of running off of my recirculating water pump that I have set up, that I showed in the previous video. So yeah, absolutely fantastic little still, beautiful little product development still that we're going to be using on the channel quite a lot. We are going to be running those 3 recipes through this still in the next video, so stick around for that. So let's wait for this thing to get up to temperature. As you can see, the still is now up and running. We have the boiler nice and hot. We've got the vapor, or the vinegar vapor, running up the column. going down the line arm and coming out the end here. So you want this to run at a full blast steam for roughly about 20 minutes. So we're going to set a timer for 20 minutes, have it run, and ensure that everything on the inside of this is nice and clean by that vinegar steam. And in 20 minutes, what we'll do is we'll disassemble, clean it out, and then we will be ready to do our first sacrificial run. With 20 minutes elapsed and we had a nice jet of steam running through this hole still, I quickly went ahead and connected up my limbic condenser, turned on the water to see if it actually can knock down the vapors and make sure there's no blockages or anything before we start doing our spirit run. So what I'm going to do now is take this, turn off the gas, and then take it out back once again, and then just give it a nice rinse to get all the vinegar off of the inside. Then I'm going to pour a couple of liters of sacrificial run or alcohol into this. I've got some heads that I store. I'm just going to pour this in there, proof it down to about 40%, and then do a sacrificial alcohol run to make sure that everything runs nicely, and just dial in my energy in and my limbic condenser so I can actually do a proper run once I get it all started. With the still all rinsed out on the inside and the vinegar smell all gone, and by having a look on the inside, it's all nice and clean. There's no oxidization or green or blue lines anywhere from the copper. So what we're going to do now is do a sacrificial run. I've got 35% ABV neutral spirit in front of me here. So this is just that other run we did on the still, where we put all our funky stuff in and we re-ran it. We took the heads, kept it one side, so I've just proofed down some heads and a little bit of the hard scut, just to get roughly about 2.5 liters of product that we're going to put in the still, and we're going to run it. Now, a sacrificial run doesn't just have to be a waste of alcohol. We're not going to drink the alcohol that comes off the sacrificial run, but we're going to take that time to get to know our new still. So I've never run this kind of pot still before, or on this size pot still before. So what I want to do is just check where my temperatures are at on my little stove and how my limbic condenser is cooling down and all of the funny stuff, so I can have a rough idea of how this still works. So when I do my first official run on it, I know how to control the energy going in, as well as the water flowing through the limbic condenser, and what kind of ABVs I can expect coming off the spout, and how fast and how slow I'll run it. So during the time of doing the sacrificial run, I'll play around with the energy going in, I'll play around with the limbic condenser, the takeoff speeds and all that fun stuff. So if anything interesting happens while I'm busy doing that, I'll record it, put it into this video. But for now, let's just quickly get that alcohol into the still, start getting it to heat up, and then yeah, I'll check you back once we're done with that. Just a couple of quick tips when you're going to be running this, and I thought of this while I was pouring the alcohol in. Now, if you spill any alcohol, make sure to clean it up, because we're working with gas now. This is a highly flammable liquid, ethanol, so if anything spills over or anything like that, just make sure that you clean it up and get it nice and safe to use with an open flame. Same thing with running the still. Once you have the still running, ensure your condenser is running. Do not walk away from your still at any moment. Keep an eye on it, because you're working with highly flammable liquids with an open flame. So the risk involved in distilling with gas does increase substantially if you have an open flame. The still at the back there, that works on electricity, so you're a lot safer. I'm not saying this is unsafe. All I'm saying is be careful when working next to an open flame with flammable liquids. Now that we have our cap all cinched down, we're going to turn on the heat and then connect our limbic condenser and get it to start running, so we don't have any vapor coming out there that we haven't condensed down into a liquid, so we don't run the risk of making a big boom and burning down the whole place. So with the still now up to temperature almost, we can see the needle climbing quite nicely, and we are starting to get first drips coming off. It's time for us to go to the back of the still quickly and just turn down on the amount of energy we're putting in. So we're going to decrease the flame
nice and low at first. We'll see how the temperature stabilizes and if we need to turn it down more, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So as you can see, we turn down the energy going in, the flame, we turn down the flame, not the temperature, the flame, and we have a nice steady drip coming off now. We're going to keep it at that temperature or that level of gas coming in, and then we're just going to run through it, and I'll increase and decrease the temperatures and energy going in to see how the run progresses. Now with the run up and going, we're going to play around some more with the energy going in and all the other fun stuff, getting to know our little baby still and how to maintain a good temperature and a takeoff speed, but we'll cover all of that in the coming videos when we do an actual run on it. Now if you stuck around this far, thank you very much for watching and have a lekker day.